All right, let's get started. All right, how's everybody doing today? Great, nice. Minus the burpees. All right, so we're going to talk about periodization, the different types of periodization, why periodization matters, and how we're going to be changing up periodization at Whitby Centrum. Okay, we're not going to be doing anything very revolutionary, but the main goal is that if we can get 5 to 10% better on our periodization, that means more people are saying yes to changing their lives. And that's the main goal here. So before we talk about anything, let's talk about the 4 different types of periodization. So there's linear, undulating, conjugate, and block periodization, okay? So we're going to go through this, and then the main thing is that I have a bunch of graphs, these things, and then I have some peer-reviewed studies that I'm going to send to you guys once this is done. You guys can read through it in terms of understanding more about why periodization matters. But types of periodization, linear. So in our first phase of training, which is skill acquisition, we are normally doing linear periodization. It's not utilizing percentage-based training. So you can see that month 1 is 12 to 15 repetitions. Month 2 is 8 to 12 repetitions. Month 3 is 6 to 8 repetitions. And month 4 is 1 to 3 repetitions. So you can see in terms of time, intensity goes up with time, volume comes down. In terms of sets and reps, how many sets and reps? So let's go with sets first. How many sets do you need to do for it to be an official workout? 9. What's the max? 36. Close enough. So 36 is what it is. It's between 9 and 36. So when you're looking at linear periodization, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 14 burpees. You got it, Mitchell. I believe in you. If anyone can do it, you can. Give him a pull-up bar. He's good. So then when we're looking at linear periodization, we got the volume coming down, intensity levels going up as time continues, okay? So when we start someone off in skill acquisition, generally we're in linear. So now how many guys remember your beginner gains? Remember beginner gains? Beginner gains? You still getting yours? Now, how sweet was that feeling when you had your beginner gains? Best feeling ever. We have clients right now who are getting beginner gains. Our main goal is to make that last longer. Okay? The goal is not to go from linear to undulating. Like it's about, you can stay in linear as long as you want. Okay? Because the reality is that when you're staying in linear, all that means is that the volume, you can continually go through this 4-month cycle of 1, 2, 3, 4, repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, repeat. So, biggest things that you want to change in here, before you change the weight, what are some things you can change? Tempo. No interns. So, tempo. Rest. What else? Pauses. No interns. Pause. What other things you can change? Huh? Reps? Yep, reps. What else? Only one more thing you can change. Sets. Yeah, you got it. So sets, rest, tempo, pauses, reps, and then weight. When we're looking at training people in this linear periodization, we're always quick to change weight. Every single time, we just want to add more weight to it, right? So someone's squatting with 135 pounds, what do you want to do? Let's go to 225. 225, let's go to 315. Let's keep on going, come on. But we're not even switching up the tempo. Or, okay, all right, so you know what? 135, all right, Lauren, you can do 135 for 10. Here's what I want you to do. We're going to do 135 with a tempo of 4 seconds down, 6 seconds back up, pause for 4 seconds at the bottom. What ends up happening at the bottom? What happens? Death, right? I hate this. You don't need to really change the weight. You can change the tempo. You can change the pauses. You can change the rep scheme. All right, so what we're going to do, Mitchell, we're going to mess around with the bench press. We're going to do a 15 repetition bench press because you've been doing that 135 for 12. We're going to bring up to 15, but here's what we're going to change. We're going to do 2 seconds down, 1 second pause, 2 seconds up, okay? And then we're going to, as you get closer to the end, we're going to add eccentrics as in your last set, right? So a lot of things you can do before you change the weight. So in linear periodization, intensity is what matters and volume is what matters. That's it. It's not too much in terms of the percentages that you're utilizing. Undulating. Undulating is really fun, but it's not for everybody. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. Don't think that the undulating approach of exercise is going to be for everybody. It's not. Because it works for me, but it doesn't work for everybody. So undulating is where volume and intensity continually change as you go through periodization or time. So there's daily and weekly undulating, and all that means is that you're going through all you're doing is you're changing up speed, strength, hypertrophy, and power. And you're going through these 4 phases on a daily or weekly basis. So like weekly undulating would be like, hey, this is all speed week. This is all strength week. This is all hypertrophy week. This is all power week. So if we did weekly, this would be, example would be week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4 would be speed, power, hypertrophy, and strength, right? So example would be bench press would be speed, squat would be speed, deadlift would be speed, and overhead press would be speed. Next week, power. So that means if we're messing around with the repetitions, we'll be utilizing the linear periodization, but on a weekly basis. That's all that is. Make sense? On a daily undulating, it'd be day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So on a 4-day split, you would have a speed day, strength day, hypertrophy day, power day. And in terms of the repetition that you'd be looking at, for speed, it'd be 15 plus. For strength, it'd be anywhere between that 6 to 8. For power, it'd be that 1 to 3. And for hypertrophy, it would be that 8 to 12. And that's what you'd be looking at on a regular daily basis. Now, you can change in terms of undulating with sets, reps, still the same schemes, sets, reps, tempo, and pauses. You can change all that stuff up to really mask everything. Conjugate. Conjugates change on a daily basis. It's utilizing the same as undulating, but it is only daily. And you have explosive speed, max effort. So it goes like this on a 4-day split. Explosive speed, max effort speed. Explosive speed, max effort speed. So let's say that you have explosive, generally the most common way of training conjugate is West Side. Who's heard of West Side barbell? Okay, cool. Lou Simmons. He's one of the guys that pioneered conjugate. So when we're looking at conjugate method of training, you'll change up everything from explosive. So an explosive, it's similar to speed, but it's not. It's about like power. So like an example of explosive movement would be if you were to utilize bands. Bands at the bottom would be react towards explosive movement. So let's say you do 135, implementation of bands at the bottom. You're now squatting through and you're pressing up through utilizing more speed, but it's all about explosion. Speed work is just about literally what it sounds like, how fast you're moving stuff. Max effort is going heavy, and then speed is back to speed. But pretty much with West Side, you're maxing out every week. Every week. And that's what the one flaw of West Side is. So this would be more advanced programming, these two. Like you're not really touching this with your client who just showed up and said, hey, I want to lose 40 pounds. All right, I'm going to put you in some West Side barbell, right? So you really want to hone in on that type of stuff.
What in conjugate, that would be more for it'd be more for phase, what we call phase 4, right?
More into phase 4, yeah. Yes. You'd use more of a wave loading program, which is what block periodization is. Yeah. So now block periodization is more like that wave loading programming or specialization programming that you utilize. The most common specialization or wave loading program that everyone knows is Juggernaut. Juggernaut utilizes month 1, you go into hypertrophy, 18 to 15 repetitions, short rest periods, intensities up. You're focusing on intensity technique. Month 2, strength, 1 to 5 repetitions, longer rest periods, max weights, And month 3 is power, 1 to 3 repetitions, explosive movements, and going for speed. So when utilizing block periodization, it's more of a 3-month block, and you're always changing up things. You're utilizing, in terms of this, you would utilize more percentage-based training. In this, you'd utilize percentage-based training, and in this, you utilize percentage-based training. In this, you can utilize percentage-based. You can utilize percentage-based training in anything. You don't, but generally, you'll start people either on linear or block. Most people will start on linear. Block periodization is something you hear about as well. Common thing we talked about this morning with bodybuilding. It would be a block periodization if you had one block of all 8 to 12s. So this month we're just messing around 8 to 12. We're not. It doesn't matter about the weight. Percentage-based training now goes into like, okay, we're going to use your 1RM as your percentage. You don't need to use percentage-based training in training. Okay, it's not a must-have. It helps, and that's one methodology of training. But you can utilize RPE, rate of perceived exertion. You can also utilize percentage. You can utilize just progressive overload. So gradually improving by 22.5 pounds to 5 pounds, 10 pounds. So you can gradually move the weight up. But in terms of periodization, some of the research that has shown is that people that periodize are most likely to achieve the results that they want. More likely to, right? So when we're talking about 5 to 10% better, that's what we're looking at. So now here's the next thing. When do you not periodize for someone? No interns. It's not a trick question. There is an example where you do not periodize. Disabled? So like they literally, periodization is not something that you really plan out in terms of it because you're working on the same repetitive thing all the time. What else? Holiday. So someone that is always on a who's leaving a lot. That'd be an example of another person who can't adhere to the training protocols of this. So let's say, for instance, you have a client who's always leaving and they're never staying. It's going to be very hard to periodize for them because you can't change up things too quickly. It's like, okay, I'm seeing you again. All right, Samir, you're back again from India. Let's go back to those squats. Oh, those squats look worse than the first time. All right, let's make sure, like we got to correct it. Who else? There's one type of client that we don't have here because we don't really train these types of clients. We normally say, no, we don't do that here. Short term, low frequency. People that are like, I only want to come in 1 time a week. Why? So the reason we don't train 1 time a week is because A, you don't really get results. Can you get results 1 time a week? I'm sure there are people who get results 1 time a week. But the reality is that studies have shown that people training at a less frequent time with a trainer don't get the best results. They don't even finish their sessions. They don't even finish their packages, right? So it's like, here's $3,000 I want to buy 1 time a week for a year. Amazing. 52 sessions. Halfway through, quarter way through, you can't even find them anymore. And they're like, I want my money back. One of the most common things that happen outside of a big box gym setting like this is people stop training people, right? So someone gives you $1,200, $1,300 for a month of training, and what do? Disappear. Why? The reason why they disappear is because there's nothing binding them or keeping them to it, right? And that's kind of the bigger thing in terms of periodization. So, on this sheet, now that we have this is more the technical things. We're going to go into what we're changing. Because realistically, when it comes down to it, the main thing is this. When we're training with people, what I really want to happen is I want the wow factor. This terminology doesn't matter it matters for us. But for Jim, who is 75, who just joined the gym, he doesn't care about any of this. So there's going to be 2 types of periodizations that we're going to start doing here. One is going to be trainer facing, the other is going to be client facing. My goal here is that it takes you 10 minutes to do periodization for. So like realistically, that's gonna be 20 minutes out of your day to do a periodization for someone that's new. If it takes you longer than 20 minutes, I don't know what to tell you, man. It shouldn't, because the reality is that it shouldn't take that long to go through and do a periodization chart. So, I'm gonna press pause because the internet gets no more.